In today's video, I'll be stripping a lot of paint. This is a Drexel Declaration settee. Drexel is the company that made it, Declaration is the line of furniture, and settee is what they called it in their catalog. I've always called it a bench, but now I know it's a settee. It was probably made in the early 1960s, somewhere around there. It had obviously been painted, and every time I do a project where I have to strip paint off a piece of furniture, I vow to never do it again, but I just couldn't resist this one. I tried a few methods to get the paint off. The first thing I tried was a heat gun, and that did sort of work, but I had to apply a lot of heat around a lot of the glue joints, and I was a little bit nervous about loosening the glue joints with the heat, so I decided not to use that. And then I tried scraping, and that did work, but it was going to be a lot of time and labor if I just used the scraper on all this paint. So I decided to use a combination of the scraper and a chemical stripper. Sometimes I would just scrape off the top layer of paint. That layer was pretty easy to get off with the scraper. But the green layer underneath was really hard, and it was really tough paint. So for that, I mostly just let the stripper do the work. On the legs, it was a little bit easier to scrape the green paint off, so I ended up doing a lot of scraping on the legs. But I did still use some stripper to get whatever was left. I've got about 95% of the paint stripped off of this. I still have to get into the little tricky areas, little nooks and crannies, and pick the paint out. And then I've also got these two spots here. This is where there are cracks in the seat. And I didn't want to get a bunch of stripper goop and debris into the crack because I'm probably going to need to glue it. So now I got to figure out what I'm going to do about these. The cracks are at the glue joint between two boards. And there's some stuff going on the underside too. So let's take a look at that. And here we are on the bottom of the bench. And you can see here the crack goes all the way down. And then the other crack over here. And it goes all the way down. And then there are these two pieces, which I'm just going to call them braces, that go across the whole thing. And they're held on by these screws in these elongated holes. And they probably did it this way so that it allows the boards of the seat to still expand and contract, and the screw can move. But something happened, and some of these screws were replaced, like that one, this one. It's kind of hard to see, but on this one, there's actually another maybe 2 or 3 screws in here. You just can't see the heads of them, but if you look down here, you can kind of see them. That is a really big screw. Well, now I can see what's going on in this one that has the multiple screws in it. I took out that really big one, and now I see in there there's, I don't know, another 2 or 3 with the heads broken off. So I'll have to get the brace off and then get those broken screws out of there. This one might be tough. The head's a little bit stripped. Yeah, I think I'm going to try heating that up first. Try it again. Nope. This might work better. There it goes. That is a really big screw. Wow. That is also a really big screw. Something is holding this on. Oh, there's some broken screws over here. Now I have to try and remove these 3 broken screws. Come on. Okay, so this crack opened up nicely when I took the brace off. And it's loose all the way down. It's kind of closed down there now, but I can easily get it open to get glue in there. So that one I think is ready to be glued up. And then this one, so I got this crack opened up more, at least at the top. And I think this is just as good as it's going to get. The reason it's not coming apart at the bottom is because it's not split there yet. It's still together. So no sense in splitting that. I'll just glue up the part that is already split. I'm going to glue these up one at a time. And I'm using hide glue here. Hide glue has a couple of advantages. One is it's easy to clean up with water. And also the joint can be taken apart at a later date relatively easily with heat and or water. And that's good for something like chair legs where years down the road somebody might need to take the joint apart to repair it again. But I don't expect anybody to ever have to take these joints apart in this seat. So I'm using this in case I screw this up the first time and need to do it over again. It won't be too difficult to take it apart and try again. I didn't get much footage of the glue up because I had to move pretty fast. But now it's been sitting for about 15 hours and I'm going to take the clamps off, see how it looks. Looks good. On to the next one. I let the glue dry overnight and then I could put the braces back on. And I drilled out some new holes for the screws that were replaced with those huge oversized screws. And I put in some appropriately sized new screws and washers. The wood's looking a little bit blotchy after the stripping process, so I'm just going to give it a scrape to try to clean it up. And I'm just using a utility knife blade for this. I keep finding these little bits of paint all over the piece, and I'm just trying to clean them up with a blade as I see them. Now it's time for the finish, and I decided to use some Danish oil, clear Danish oil. And before I apply this, I went over the piece with some 180 grit sandpaper because I was thinking that the surface might actually be too smooth after the scraping and it might not absorb any Danish oil. So I just roughed it up a little bit with the sandpaper. I applied the second coat of Danish oil using some 320 grit sandpaper for an extra smooth feel. And for the finishing touch, I'm going to put the arms back on. So there are two threaded inserts that go into the arm. This is one, and this one goes here. And then there's this one. And this goes in here. And the screw goes in from the bottom. And here it is, all finished. Thanks for watching.